Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this special edition of Brownsville Tech Live. And tonight we are covering Starship's Integrated Flight Test number 3. And this is the pre launch party. This is the second pre launch party we've done this week. And in the house tonight, we've got our co host, Doug Blunt. Doug, welcome back.
Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Could you believe that Mr. Elon Musk did a 2 month turnaround with the launching of IFT-2 and IFT-3? He just seems to be kicking ass these days.
Yes, he does. He's serious about this stuff. And the only thing you got to do is watch Lab Padre every Sunday morning, and you can see what's going on out there.
Oh,
You
absolutely,
know,
absolutely. There's
yeah,
no doubt. I mean, you worked in the aerospace industry before. It's a pretty fast turnaround, isn't it?
yeah. It's just ask Boeing. But yeah, when you're doing something like that, and I did on the B2, is that you you have to have a really dedicated crew, because on the B2, we wanted to get first flight, just like SpaceX is wanting to do, and you're working everybody 16, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah,
Okay, so hats off for the people out there that work out there, because he's driving them hard,
yeah,
you know
no doubt about that.
and so it's for the job is for a young man. Okay, is for sure, because I don't know if I could ever get back into that swing or not. Me being um senior, a seasoned citizen, as Rush Limbaugh would say. Yeah, but it would be exciting to work out there.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we've got a countdown clock that we've been, displaying all week. And right now we've got exactly 9 hours and 24 minutes with 20 seconds or so on the clock before the launch. It is scheduled tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. Actually, the launch window is between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. and we'll be starting live coverage tomorrow. Doug, you won't have to wake up early. I've got another co-host for that one, but we'll be starting
I'll be
live.
I'll be up.
Oh, you'll be up, right? You don't want to miss the rumble. You may not miss the rumble.
Uh, it all depends how the weather is, or
That is
if there's
true.
any malfunctions.
That is true.
Yeah.
There's no doubt, but definitely we've been monitoring the countdown clock that we've got up on the screen. I do want to remind everybody, if you don't know where to go view the launch, if you don't want to go out there to the island and face the traffic and the spring breakers and some of the crowds that are going to be out there, you can go to brownsvilletechlive.com. We will have a direct link from SpaceX tomorrow for viewing the launch, and you can do that right over our mobile phone app, um, just by going to brownsvilletechlive.com. So for anybody out there that doesn't know where to go, if you don't want to go and mess with YouTube or go to one of the other sites, you can go to brownsvilletechlive.com. So, all right. Well, as we talked about, there is. Let me flip over to the screens here for a second. And one of the things that we talked about was that there was a license that was released today by the FAA. That was the license that SpaceX was waiting for. So they were granted that license today at 3 p.m., which cleared them to actually launch tomorrow. So that is the license that was released at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon today. And so they have an official license. This is not a matter of, whether they got it or they didn't, they got it. And it basically lists the dates for the actual launch out there. So,
The government in action.
government in action. That is true. Government
I
in
wonder how
action.
long it took him to get this little piece of paper.
Well, probably a while, Doug, more than likely, right? But one of the things, obviously, that I kind of joke around with is this is integrated flight test number 3, and let's give kudos to Elon. I don't know if you saw this post that I posted
Yeah, I
earlier,
saw that. I saw that.
but obviously he's had a little opposition from the Sierra Club over the last couple of years, and we've got to say that the Elon scoreboard tonight is 3-0. Hopefully, knock on wood, everything goes well tomorrow versus the Sierra Club at 0-3. So I think they either need to change lawyers or they just need to give it up. One of the two.
Lawyer up.
Yep.
Just call 444, right?
That's right. Yep. Call
Yeah,
the
just call
444.
444.
Maybe they should
Yeah,
have hired the 444 folks.
maybe so. Maybe so.
Well, one of the things that, obviously you mentioned was with regards to, what's going on right now out at Starbase. And we've actually we went out to YouTube and found two live views out there right now of cameras. One, of course, is by Lab Padre, or it was showing a while ago. And then we've got what the heck happened? Hold on. Let's see. Hold on, hold on. What in the world? Let me go out there. Give me a second. I lost him. That's weird. Give me 1 second while I get this back on the screen. Is it that one? No, it's not that one, Doug. What happened?
Is La Padre, is that locally produced? Do you know?
It is locally produced. Yeah.
Wow, they did a pretty good job on that.
Yeah, they do. And I was planning to. Yeah, there it is. Huh, that's weird. All
I
right.
like the ticker on the bottom of your screen. I get a lot, it's pretty funny, I think.
Yeah. Well, down here is Lab Padre, and that's a live view right now. And as you can see, it
Oh
is
boy,
foggy
it
right
is
now.
cloudy.
It is
It's
very,
cloudy.
very cloudy right now. So I'm not sure what that really means for the launch. I've seen launches out of Vandenberg, California. SpaceX has done a few of those with fog. I think the only time that it's a problem is wind and rain. So right now, let's see, where is my
Might throw a little icing on that too, the Challenger accident.
right? Exactly.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very cold that day in Florida when the Challenger blew up.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about that. Let me see
Yeah.
here if I can pull the other cam. Give me a second here. Give me a second. See if I can get a better view from the other cam. Uh, let's see here. Now it's even worse.
Oh, it's even worse.
It's even worse. So I'm not sure if the camera's down or it's just plain foggy, but definitely there's no doubt that it is really, really foggy out there. It is
I would,
crazy,
I'm no expert, but I wouldn't think that being foggy out there would really affect it that much.
right?
Because there's no crew on it. And the telemetry, I would think, would work the same no matter what.
Yeah.
So I would
Well,
think that it would not be a big deal.
well,
But hey, who am
definitely,
I?
definitely we've got our Starbase Weather Center tonight, and our extended forecast for the week is tomorrow, Thursday. It's going to be cloudy, possibly foggy, and the temperature looks to be 73 degrees for a low. I'm sorry, 72 degrees for a low, and a high of 90. And basically, on Friday, if there is an abort tomorrow morning, the it's also going to be cloudy with the low being 73 and the high being 92. Now there is this forecast was a little sunny, but Saturday through Monday there's a potential for about 40% rain. Now, I don't know what that means down here in South Texas. 40% to us really is like 20%. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But over the next few hours, starting at 10 p.m. tonight, it's going to be 77 degrees with clouds. At midnight, it'll be 75 with clouds. And then at 2 o'clock in the morning, they're looking at 74 degrees. And by the way, the wind speeds are going to increase by about 2 o'clock in the morning to about 20 miles per hour. Then by 4 o'clock, it'll drop down to 73 degrees. There'll still be clouds, but the winds will drop down to 18 miles an hour. And by 6 a.m., which is closer to the start of the launch window, it'll be 73 degrees, still cloudy, and the winds will drop to 14 miles per hour. And of course, 8 a.m. is part of the launch window. It'll be 72 degrees and it'll be sunny with a little bit of clouds, and the winds actually drop to 11 miles per hour. Now, one of the rumors out there, Doug, was that the Sierra Club and the fake Indian tribe that's been doing all these lawsuits was actually hoping that the wind was pretty bad tomorrow so that they would be able to cancel the launch, right? And one of my posts, I basically said, well, if you're counting on the winds, you might as well go out there and do a rain dance while you're at it, because I wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily count on the winds being an issue. And obviously, the winds appear to be, or they're going to appear to be dying down as the night and the morning continues. So,
I, space, I don't think it's a big deal because, Cape Canaveral, they have high winds too,
yeah,
I mean, and we average around, I don't know, here lately in March, especially between 18 to 20 miles an hour because I'm always, checking my watch
yeah,
what the wind speed is so I can ride my bike.
yeah,
Okay. And like today, it was pretty high all day, about 18 miles an hour. And
right,
then it was pretty hot too. Okay,
yeah,
89.
right,
But then I got on the bike at about 6 o'clock, and then I had a nice ride.
yeah,
I think it's down to about, now it's down to 17 miles an hour. So,
yeah,
that's just South Texas. They know
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Musk is good. Musk has got people that's experts in this.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's something that I know that those folks were hoping for, but I really don't think it's going to be a factor, with regards to whether they do the launch. I mean, eh, I
so if
anticipate
they
maybe a
abort
mechanical.
tomorrow, when's the next time they can go?
Well, I believe that the next possibility, depending on why they abort, obviously, if it's a mechanical problem, then I would suspect that Saturday would be the next opportunity. But once again, it just depends on the weather. Obviously, this weather map is a little bit more rosy compared to some of the other weather forecasts that I've actually been monitoring, which call for quite a bit of rain, which sucks because it's also my birthday on Saturday. and uh, and so I'm not looking forward to it raining. But Saturday would probably be the next opportunity, and possibly Monday. But
Okay.
we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens, between now and then, Well, one of the
Don't they when they abort, don't they have to like drain all the
they do.
was it hydrogen
They
all the
do.
fuel out of the
Yes. Actually, this rocket uses a combination of liquid oxygen and methane. So typically, the Falcon 9 uses liquid oxygen and kerosene. But this particular rocket, it's a combination of liquid
okay.
oxygen and methane. So we'll see.
Okay. We'll see.
One of the upgrades that they mentioned that actually caused them to do a rapid disassembly, which basically was the explosion, was the fact that the rocket design in IFT-2 experienced a lot of what they call fuel sloshing, which caused the rocket I believe there was a fire that came about. And so they actually improved the design this time around. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. But one of the things I wanted to cover a little bit is obviously, let me see here. We'll
Third
see.
time's a charm.
Third time's a charm, which is his track record, by the way. You know.
That's his track record. Third
Yep.
time the charm.
So one of the things I wanted to go over are the actual mission objectives, which is something that he uh, he mentioned what those were, and I had somewhere here where, my gosh, where did I leave them? Give me a second here. Where are you? Mission objectives. Well, I know what they are. Basically, one of the things that they're going to do is they are going to um, basically attempt a reignition of one of the Raptor 3 engines while in space. They're also going to simulate the opening and closing of the payload door. The Starship is capable of launching, I think, up to like 31 satellites all at once. And so they're going to test the opening and closing of that payload door, as well as the reignition of one of the Raptor engines uh, while in orbit. Then the other thing they're going to do is they're going to test the ability to transfer rocket fuel between two tanks within the rocket. And that's going to be pretty critical in support of the lunar lander mission, because one of the things that I believe SpaceX has been subcontracted to do is to build like a refueling station or process in the moon to be able to, I guess, refill starships that are headed over from the moon over to Mars. And so there
Yeah.
will be starships will be nothing but fuel tankers, per se. So
Now, does this starship have a dragon on top of it, or
no, no,
well,
actually,
no dragon?
no dragon. The starship module will actually have living quarters. And I don't know if you read earlier this week, one of the things that Elon Musk has talked about is that they're going to simulate the ability to have somewhat artificial gravity in these starships headed over to Mars. And they're working on a couple of ideas on how to achieve that. Artificial gravity has been something that's been looked at since the 1960s, and I believe one of the theories is that if you have an object that is spinning in a centrifugal method, that the spinning of that
Yeah.
object will create artificial gravity of some sort.
And that's the reason why Arthur C. Clarke's or space, I mean, 2001, that
Uh-huh.
was so popular because back when we were kids, they were using space stations. They were, it looked like a big wheel. It was just
Right.
continue to go around.
Right. And that
Yeah.
still is a concept. In fact, there's a company
Yeah.
out there called Axiom, and they are going to be building the successor to the International Space Station. I think the space station's lease on life ends, I believe, in 2030 or 2035. So,
I think it's already ended. I think they just extended it a little bit.
okay. Well, one of the
Yeah.
companies that is actually building the successor to that International Space Station is a private company that's been contracted by NASA, and their name is Axiom. They've actually had a few crews uh, on board one of the Dragon capsules this year. I think they've had three Axiom crews that have gone up in the last 2 years. So that's going to
So
be
will they
interesting.
use the Starship to, since it doesn't have a dragon, okay, will they use a Starship to resupply the space station, or are they still going to stick with the other ones?
The
What
Falcon,
was the other ones?
the Falcon 9.
The Falcons, yeah.
Yeah, I think the Falcon 9 has proven to be the big workhorse of it all. I think,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
because one of the things they're going to have to figure out is you know, right now you've got a docking mechanism with the Dragon capsule. You don't right now have a docking mechanism for the space station
Hmm.
for Starship. So they would either have to
Yeah.
retrofit something. So but by the time I think that really Starship takes off for anything of really substantive value, I think the space station will be on the way down as far as burn and reentry. I remember, I was just, gosh, 1979, I was barely 8 years old, and I remember when Skylab that was the big thing, Skylab was coming down. I think it was 1979. I can't remember, but
Oh, it
I
was earlier. It was like 1974
oh my
or
god,
something.
then I was
Yeah,
like 5 years
yeah,
old.
yeah, because Space Lab was nothing but a unused Saturn V, right?
Right.
And so, they ended the space program going to, Nixon canceled the moon trips,
Right.
and then they started to devote everything on. So I guess they were still hooked up with the Soviets at that time, and so they had to come up with something. So that was a kind of a low budget situation, the space lab was,
Well,
you know.
as a little kid, I remember the fear that they spread during that time,
Oh, about falling in, yeah.
about falling in and where was it
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
fall, because I think
yeah.
it was uncontrolled, right? It was not a controlled burn situation at the time.
Something like that. Yeah,
Something
it
like
was,
that.
it was just they had an extra Saturn V left over, and they, I guess they contractually or had promised the Soviets a mission together,
Right.
and, Nixon was, that was a big deal for Nixon because, glasnost and all that kind of stuff with the Soviets. And
Right.
so, they wanted to shake hands with them, when they famous
Yeah.
photo. They go from the Soviet side to the American side and they shake hands. Okay.
Right.
So
Well, one
I'm watching a series on Apple TV right now called Constellation,
uh
and it's about the space station.
oh wow.
Yeah, there's a accident. There's an accident on the space station, and basically what it is uh, it's there's an accident on somebody gets killed on the space station, and they take and then but there's like a parallel universe because they show because they're shown if that person would have lived, and she would have died. Okay,
Yeah.
it's pretty good actually. And there's an actor you've seen a million times called Jonathan Banks. He played Mike Ermitrek on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and
Jonathan
he was
Banks.
a
Yes, I
huh?
remember him. I remember
Yeah,
Jonathan Banks.
yeah,
I don't even know
and
he was
he
still
was
alive.
yeah, he's still I mean, he's kicking in this. He's only he's 76. Boy, he looks old, but he's one of my favorite actors,
Yeah,
and and he was in Apollo 18
yeah,
in the TV show,
yeah,
and then there was a couple of deaths on that, so it's an interesting series. But
yeah.
it's not an American series because everything they show is in the Soviet. What's the name of the Soviet or the Russian spaceport is called
Uh,
Nostromos or something like
Rosmos. Well, the agency's called
Rosmos.
Rosmos
Yeah,
Cosmos. Yeah, Rosmos Cosmos is the name of
yeah,
the.
and this is more like with
Right.
ESA, and because they're using Soyuz um, capsules.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, it's
and
incredible that the Russians have been able to keep that Zoya spacecraft. I mean, it's their workhorse since the
yeah,
the late '60s. That
yeah.
thing just
They
works.
things just works pretty simple, but it just works. I mean, there's been some alleged accidents along the way. I
Right.
guess, but late in the late '60s, I think it was three astronauts. They landed in Russia, Kazakhstan, or somewhere. They
Right.
opened them up, and they were all dead.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
read about that. I read about that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, one of the things I wanted to go over was an actual mission map that is designed. I can't
Okay.
remember who the name of the designer is, but he has done the last two other mission maps. And one of the things that it goes into detail of what's going to happen. So the very first step is obviously liftoff. And liftoff, for those of you out there, will be here from Starbase in Boca Chica, Texas. Uh, the Starship booster has 33 Raptor engines that will ignite, and it will create 16 million pounds of thrust. For those of you history buffs out there, that is 120% more than the Saturn V and 90% more than the up and coming SLS moon rocket from Boeing. Um, the second step in the process will be at 52 seconds, the rocket will reach max Q, which is basically maximum dynamic pressure, and that is the hardest point of the rocket that reaches peak mechanical stress. And then shortly after, this third step will be stage separation. That will occur at T plus 2 minutes after launch. And basically, the hot staging ring will come into play. It will ignite all six of its Raptor engines while still attached to Super Heavy, which will have its three Raptor center engines running at 50% thrust. The combined thrust of Ship 28's engines will accelerate it from Super Heavy. And then the actual third step is the boost back at T plus 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Booster boost back, burn up startup. That is where the booster will attempt to boost back so that it actually returns back to Earth, and it will land in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm not sure if it's going to be
Thought it was
recovered.
Indian Ocean.
No, that is actually the Starship uh, module that will be landing in the
Oh,
Indian
the
Ocean.
Starship model. Now, is that reusable now?
I don't think it will be reusable. I don't know if they're going to recover any of these components. One of the things
Hmm.
that they talked about is they did not recover the actual booster or the remains of the boost of the last booster in IFT-2 because one of the things that Elon wants to do is to encourage sea life and create artificial reefs. And so
That's a
those
good story there, Elon. He didn't want to spend the money for it. That's what it was.
So basically, those pieces are going to be future coral reefs where you're going to have shrimp and sea anemones and all kinds of goodies.
Oh,
Uh,
good.
so there is definitely a few things that the Sierra Club should be proud about. Then the fourth step is the engines will be at full throttle until until Starship engine cutoff, and that will occur at T plus 8 minutes and 35 seconds. Once S-28 reaches orbital velocity, all six Raptor engines will shut down. And then the fifth
Okay.
step at T plus 11 minutes, the payload door opens and the testing of the door to the world's largest PEZ dispenser in space for the first time and will verify its operation in microgravity. Unlikely that any Starlink V2 satellites will be deployed due to the risks of jamming and preventing the door from closing. There's actually a couple of Starlink, or it is rumored that there's a couple of Starlink satellites on board that they kind of had plans to deploy, but they may not do it depending on how well the door functions. So that will be interesting. And then the six at T plus 24 minutes and 31 seconds, they're going to do a propellant transfer demo. And this is the tipping point for NASA's Artemis HLS milestone demo, which needs to transfer 10 metric tons of liquid oxygen from the header to the main tank, which will be the largest ever transfer of cryogenic propellant in space. Then, of course, at the seventh step at T plus 28 minutes and 21 seconds, the payload door closes and it will prepare for reentry. The door must be securely shut to have structural integrity against the forces of reentry. And then the eighth step at T plus 40 minutes and 46 seconds, the Raptor in flight relight demo occurs. This will be the first ever relight of a Raptor engine in space and will demonstrate the ability to reliably deorbit Starship. With the expected low orbit, the duration of the burn will probably be only a few seconds for an actual deorbit burn. The ship would need to yaw at 180 degrees first. And then reentry occurs. That is the ninth step at T plus 49 minutes and 5 seconds. Starship entry. The final test of this third Starship flight will demonstrate the ability to control Ship 28's altitude for reentry and maintain control during the hypersonic fiery descent through the upper atmosphere. And then the 10th step, in an hour and 2 minutes and 16 seconds, Starship will be transonic. If Ship 28 survives reentry, it will decelerate from 28,000 kilometers per hour. That's about 22 times the speed of sound to subsonic speed in just 13 minutes. And that at T plus 1 hour and 4 minutes and 39 seconds, an exact landing using the flaps maintained control flight, Starship heads towards the Indian Ocean in a very high speed belly flop. Excitement will be an enormous splash and flattered Starship likely exploding with the mixture of the remaining LCH4 and LOX before sinking to the ocean floor. So there will be no recovery
Reasonable
of.
recovery.
Yep. So it will definitely become an artificial reef. No doubt about that.
No orbits this time, huh?
No, no. So um, it'll be interesting. And of course, the booster return, like the Falcon 9, which was Step 3E, which I didn't cover, the initial target is a safe zone in the water. Once landing engines ignite and the positive control is verified, B-10 will do a hover, then splash down in the Gulf of Mexico. The data will be gathered and analyzed to help facilitate future planned catches at the Orbital Launch Integration Tower. So eventually, instead of landing in the ocean, the goal is to use the launch tower and use the chopsticks to carry it, to catch it, excuse me. So,
That's the goal, but not this time.
not this time. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely not this time. So,
They can, I tell you, those chopsticks, if they can catch it, that's going to be an engineering marvel.
right? Yeah.
Catching a rocket like that, or a stage, but it's a stage. What it is.
Yeah.
Is the stage similar to a Falcon, more or
As
less?
well, it's got two pieces, and the Falcon's
Two
got two
pieces.
pieces.
Okay.
Actually, the Falcon's got three pieces. It's got the first stage, the second stage, and the Dragon
The
capsule.
and the fairing, there's a fairing goes around it
Right,
too, right?
the fairing, yeah, which carries the
Yeah,
payload
yeah.
right now.
Okay.
So basically, for anybody out there that is planning to go out to the island, or if they've got a boat, what are some of the things to look out for? Well, first of all, there was an advisory issued out earlier in the week, and this advisory was by the Marine. It was a Marine Safety Bulletin, and it was released by, I guess, the Coast Guard. I can't tell by the logo. Yeah, it was the Coast Guard, and it signified certain coordinates where you're not allowed to be on. So, for any boaters out there, be very aware that there are certain areas within the bay or past the bay that you are not allowed to go into. And I'll go ahead and pull up the second graphic, which actually identifies some of those areas that have been. Um, Let me go ahead and kind of increase here. As I get older, I can't see. So anything in the yellow zones is forbidden. So if anybody had any plans to be out there on their boat or their pontoon or their kayak or whatever, or their jet ski, the areas in red, I'm
Or their
sorry, in
hovercraft, or their
or hovercraft,
hovercraft.
right?
Yeah.
They are not allowed. So if you attempt to go out there, you're going to get arrested.
hmm
So the areas in yellow are forbidden while the rocket is launched and in flight. Anything with regards to the blue areas, which represents the beach area, as well as the bay, you can go ahead and be out there with your boat. But in this area, which is marked in yellow, that is forbidden. You know, so just something that you know folks need to be aware of. Especially if they're out there going on their boats and thinking they're going to be able to, just go about anywhere. That's not going to be the case. So
So the whole thing should last about an hour and what, 40 minutes? You say an hour and
about
40 minutes?
about an hour and 40 minutes. Yeah,
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 about an hour, 40 minutes.
yeah.
Okay.
So one of the last
And
things I wanted to show, and I don't know if I'm going to be successful tonight in doing so, is I wanted to kind of give a little recap of integrated flight test 2 and the excitement that we had the last time we went through this, and this will probably be the capstone for tonight. But the on Sunday, while I was able to show the video, Steve couldn't hear any audio from his end over the Zoom connection, but it did uh, stream out. So, Doug, let me know if you hear the video. I worked on an upgrade, so
okay.
hopefully we'll be able to show this. So, let me go ahead and kill that, and let's go ahead and uh, go to hopefully the video. Can you hear something, Doug?
Attention all operators on countdown one. This is the final go no go for flight
Doug,
two
can you hear
of
something?
Starship.
Yeah,
Again, our
I'm
two
hearing
launches
something
are
now.
Okay.
M7. Raptor one.
Go.
Raptor two.
Go.
Stage one.
Go.
Stage two.
Go.
Copy. Go for flight. Clock is rolling. 10, 9,
And there's mission
7,
control.
6, liftoff.
I'm sorry, that rocket, it looks like a from a 1950s B movie, the design of it. I've always said that, you know.
It is quite unusual, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is. I mean,
Booster engine cut on.
There's stage separation. There's boost back burn.
Stage separation.
And there's
Oop,
the explosion. And Elon's
yeah,
celebrating.
that's okay. He knows what's going on.
Well, definitely it is very exciting. It's great to be able to watch something like this right in your own backyard. I know
Yeah.
there are a few folks that are probably aren't too happy about it, but they're probably going to get woken up tomorrow with the rumble.
We'll hear the
Once
complaints tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow night. Okay, there'll be, oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack or something like that.
Well,
It'll be, oh,
I will say that when we had our first pre-launch party on Sunday, right after that, I had a few individuals reach out to me to ask if homeowners insurance actually covered any structural damage, and the answer is no.
no, no.
So, for anybody wanting to cash something, out of this event, it's not going to happen. So,
No, when I lived in Lancaster, the stealth fighter. One night I was out in the backyard, and about 6:30, 7 o'clock that night, I saw a stealth fighter, a B-2 bomber, and a F-35 fly over my house,
uh-huh.
and it was a sonic boom.
Yeah.
All three of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, and when the shuttle used to land out there at Edwards.
Uh-huh.
We would go outside the plant there in Lancaster or Palmdale, and the shuttle would come over, and you hear two booms, boom, boom, and then you'd see it for like 2 seconds, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's
So
exciting, and we're glad that we've got this happening in our own
yeah,
backyard. And just to let everybody know, the countdown clock up on the screen says 8
eight
hours
hours,
and 43 minutes.
43 minutes.
Once again, you can catch the live launch tomorrow. We'll have coverage starting at 6:30 a.m. And you can watch that obviously on YouTube, as well as some of the other YouTubers out there, as well as BrownsvilleTechLive.com. So we appreciate everyone that tuned in tonight, and let's see what happens tomorrow morning. And go Starship and go SpaceX. Doug,
There you go.
Doug, thank you for joining us tonight. As always, you bring a lot of insight because you've had experience in this industry before. So we appreciate you taking the time to, come on online and give us a little insight. So, all righty,
Me
everybody.
anytime.
All righty, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at 6:30 Central Time, and we'll see what happens. Alrighty, Doug. You have a good night.
You too, Danny. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye
Alrighty.
bye.
Bye bye.